What is the future of Star Wars? What does it look like? Well, Kathleen Kennedy was asked this very question in a recent interview, and to my surprise, what she had to say was interesting, but not necessarily in a good way. P.S. As always, this isn't a video to dump all over Lucasfilm, but it's worth discussing as a fan of the past 5 years of Star Wars what was in this. So first, as a summary, Kathleen Kennedy was asked about the future of the franchise, specifically in the theatrical realm now that the saga has concluded. And even though we have seen new Star Wars films slated for 2023, 2025, 2027. Her answer was right now Lucasfilm is taking a step back to reassess the 25,000 years of mythology encompassing all of Star Wars and to see where they could go from here now that the Skywalker Saga is over. The fact that Star Wars had so much history to it came as a surprise to some of the people involved at Lucasfilm, so they wanted to take this time to really absorb what George Lucas created. She also goes on to talk about the fact Lucasfilm had been meeting with plenty of creatives, directors, writers, etc. regarding the future stories that could be told, and that this has been going on for the previous 8 months. Now, I think that the answer she gave sounds reasonable enough at first, but then when I thought about what was really said, which basically boils down to, we are not actually sure what Star Wars is beyond the main saga, I was really surprised and then kind of worried. To me, that's a big issue to have 8 years after purchasing Star Wars. While the article does talk to the point of Lucasfilm focusing primarily on the saga films first, it's also clear that Lucasfilm thought that the anthology films would be the future of Star Wars after Episode 9. And then it wasn't. It seems that TV for now will be filling that void, which also isn't a bad thing since The Mandalorian is incredible. Lucasfilm's Phase 1, if you will, was pretty solid, but now it's really painfully clear that the time was never taken to consider what's next. People might say, that's what they're doing right now, dummy. They have 3 years. Calm down. Well, after experiencing the Rise of Skywalker and how hobbled together it was due to a 2-year turnaround and a lack of planning, 2023 is approaching fast, and I can't imagine how people can create the upcoming movies in an environment where the company itself doesn't know what it wants to say or do. Now, the silver lining in this is it sounds like right now Lucasfilm might be taking a deeper look into Legends material to figure out some thread throughout the existing history to tell a compelling set of stories on the big screen. I also think that Lucasfilm is trying to reassess the trilogy format. Should they stick to the same exact formula for 2023 through 2027? Or will these 3 films stand on their own, telling their own unique stories? Personally, while I love 75% of the sequel trilogy, I do not want another retread of the familiar. I don't need Person from the Sand Planet becomes a Jedi story. We've already done it. The Mandalorian proved that stories outside of the main saga are possible, but what separated The Mandalorian from the feature films came down to planning, keeping the story under the guidance of 2 people, and vetting talent well ahead of time to tackle directorial so that they didn't waste time. Besides The Mandalorian, The Last Jedi was the only production out of Lucasfilm that seemed to go pretty much flawlessly, and most likely that's why Filoni recently praised Rian Johnson for teaching him a lot about filmmaking. If we had to take a look at Lucasfilm's Phase 2, all we currently know is that we will get Season 2 of Mando Dads, eventually the Kenobi Limited series, a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, and then those 3 Star Wars films. And while that all sounds great, as I said, after reading this interview, I feel like Lucasfilm should just stop announcing anything until they actually know their own plan. And I want to close this video out saying I do really admire Kathleen Kennedy and how much she has accomplished in her career. I can't think of one film from my childhood which she hasn't been involved with. She isn't some random woman in charge of Lucasfilm, as most people on YouTube like to put it. But nowadays, regardless of how much I respect someone, I also just want someone steering the ship in a way that makes me feel like all is well. So that's it. Tell me in the comments if you feel like this interview came off a bit strange. Should Lucasfilm have planned for a post-Skywalker saga right from the start? And does it surprise you that the expansive mythology that is Star Wars came as a surprise to people working at Lucasfilm? I mean, for me, that might be my biggest eyebrow raise, but still, this is Star Wars and Star Wars fandom, and we are all prone to overthinking everything. So may the Force be with you. AT-AT is signing off.